Hello, everybody. So this is going to be what I think. This is going to be about living with your parents. So I'm actually tired today. I combined an energy drink with sleeping medication last night, unintentionally, of course. And I can tell you that the effects of the caffeine and the depressants, they don't cancel out. They just make things worse. And so I had a very hard time kind of functioning last night. At some points, I thought I was going to have arrhythmia or a heart attack or my breathing was going to stop, but I made it through the night and without a hospital trip. And well, I'm tired today. I'm worn out from last night. But anyways, that's besides the point. So the point of this video is going to be about living with your parents, right? And what I think about it. So there is this trend out there. A lot of alpha males and rich influencers that influence young men in particular, young people in general. And, even I feel like financial websites and documentary channels like Moon kind of emphasize this. Well, I wouldn't say that Moon and these financial websites really shine a negative light on it, but they basically say that young people don't have a choice except to live with their parents, and they make it look like a bad thing. I think it is a bad thing that you don't have a choice, but living with your parents itself is actually a really good thing. It's a really, really good thing to live at home, and all these rich influencers, all these like alpha males, they're absolutely full of shit. Right, living with your parents is actually a great thing for financial success, and we'll see why. Um, we'll see why, right? And this is like your parents pay for your food, they pay for your shelter, they pay for the water bill. Now, what I will say is this does not mean that you get to be a neckbeard basement dweller and do nothing, right? If you're a if you're not like looking for work and you're just playing Minecraft in your basement all day and looking at anime waifus, that's not what I'm talking about. You are actually being a pest, right? You are actually being a pest. So, I'm trying to refute the idea that living with your parents is a bad thing, and that it should be criticized in American society. And I really don't think it should be that way. So it is to say that um, many influencers have been kind of saying like you're weak if you live with your parents and you need to get out of your parents' home and you only have limited time to get out of your parents. But interestingly enough, one of the best way to get out of your parents and really have a smooth transition into life, adult life, and this could even go into retirement, like talking about retirement, is to live with your parents. And it's part of many cultures. Many cultures in America practice this, where they're all they all live in a household. Although I don't think the children really go out and live on their own. They just kind of stay in the household for life. But many cultures participate in this, and the American culture, like the farming culture back in the old days, they used to basically a lot of American households practiced this back in the day, where children would live with their parents, and it was not seen as a big deal. It wasn't seen as a big deal at all. They would do everything in the house, American families together. Now, what differs from my view and that view is that eventually you would want to leave your parents' home, right, and try to find a life for yourself. You don't want to be you don't want to. Your parents shouldn't have to take care of you until they're on their deathbed. Is essentially what I'm going to say. But I feel like parents should allow their children to live in their homes because it's the best way of ensuring their financial success in the real world. So So, as long as you're working towards being financially prosperous as a kid, living with their parents, and creating a life for yourself by trying to earn money, trying to make money, that's all that matters, right? That's all that matters, right? We're distinguishing basement dweller anime girls on the wall from people that actually work like two jobs, right? And we'll get into my situation later and how I'm planning to do this, right? So as for me, I'm a college student in data science. And right now the market is oversaturated, and I'm hoping that the H-1Bs will stop, and I hope that fake job listings will be made illegal because they should be made illegal. Um, so yeah, I mean, because HR is a useless piece of shit, and they want to make it look like they're actually doing things when they're really doing nothing at all, and their job requires no skill at all. And they're the type of people to be like, master's preferred, bachelor's required, when a sixth grader could type into Excel. A sixth grader could spend like half a semester learning how to do Excel, and they would be compatible with about 50% of jobs, and they would be able to make $50,000 or $60,000 a year. Like, there's no reason. A lot of the college degrees, they serve absolutely no purpose except to kiss ass. Yeah, basically, most jobs you're just going to be typing on Excel, or you're going to be doing some simple programming in SAS and like measuring pie charts for companies' financial data, right? It's not going to be some sort of calculus whiz where you're calculating the integral of a math Olympiad equation. I don't even think math Olympiads have integrals. Maybe they do, but you get the point, right? Jobs are understimulating. Anyways, that's besides the point, right? I could go on and on about HR and how it's a useless piece of shit and how their requirements don't make sense and they're a bunch of worthless people. But that's the goal, is to be financially prosperous and create a life for yourself while you're living with your parents. And it doesn't really matter that more kids are living in their parents' homes at an increasing rate. I actually think that's a good thing. I think that's a good cultural shift. Um, because these kids aren't being charged $1,500 a month by these predatory rental companies. And if they're in college, which I know a lot of kids aren't able to live with their parents while they're in college. If they are able to live with their parents in college, they're not being ripped off by the college itself by being charged $1,500, $2,000 for a room without even a kitchen, right? So, I mean, they're basically forced to eat out all the time, which costs a lot of money on its own. But you get the point, right? Like, why would you want your child to have to pay for a $1,500 apartment or a $2,000 apartment, or which is a complete fucking ripoff? Right? How does that now? This is where I turn to these Western society like alpha male influencers that are living in Dubai, and they're like, "Oh, you're not a real man if you live with your parents." Like, how is that a good thing? Like, how is that going to prepare somebody for success when they have no choice but to exit their parents' home and pay $1,500 or $2,000 a month towards these predatory? Great, I'm probably gonna get into heat. Okay, I didn't. $1,500 or $2,000 to live in these predatory companies' homes or these college apartments, right? It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help these kids set up for financial success, right? So the idea of becoming independent, the problem is that you're not going to become financially independent in reality if you're being charged so much and you're not able to build up savings for yourself, and not able to financially grow in that way. You need to be I mean, you need to have like a backbone to fall on for a good portion of your early adult life. So yeah, I disagree with the idea that these alpha male influencers, these fucking people from Dubai and whatever the fuck, they're like, yeah, if you live with your parents, you're a weak piece of shit. You need to get out and live in the real world. I mean, maturity-wise, that is a good step. But that's not what matters. What matters is financial independence. That's what matters. Maturity doesn't fucking matter when it comes to anything like this. Maturity is literally the most irrelevant thing. This is about setting people up for financial success. Living with your parents is when you're, working your first couple jobs is a great thing. So the fact that more kids are being pushed towards living with their parents because of expensive rents is not a good thing. I want to emphasize that, right? Kids should be living with their parents and taking advantage of it, but they shouldn't have to because rents are too high, because of ridiculous fucking building code policies in the city centers and, just all sorts of like ridiculous taxes, property taxes, so the rents go up, all that sorts of things. All the leftist bullshit that goes into making city homes really expensive. So and supply and demand also goes in that equation. But building codes, property taxes, you know how it is. They really drive up the cost of living in the cities. So enjoy the years with your family as you can. On one aspect, you could say that it's mature. Why it's better to go off on your own and live off on your own. But your family, if you're gonna live with your parents, which is what you should do, then one of the huge benefits is that you get to hang out with them, and they're not going to be around forever. Your family is eventually going to die, and you're going to be on your own. And the world doesn't care, by the way. The world does not care if your family members die. Just want you to remember that. They'll be remembered by people for maybe like a couple months, a couple years, and then they'll be forgotten. And then once those people die, people won't even know who that person is, right? The world doesn't care about your family's death. Your family dies, you move on in life. So it's always a good thing that you're hanging out with your family. And you want the best for your child, right? If you're a parent, so living rent free in the house while you work a couple jobs, even if they're minimum wage jobs, is really critical in building up savings, right? So here's my example, right? So I'm currently living in my parents' house, my dad's house, and I'm attending college, right, for data science. And I realize that not everyone has this luxury, but I feel like a lot of people do. And these are the types of people that I'm going to talk to. So I plan on working a couple jobs over the summer, right? And I plan on working one job probably into the easier semesters later in college. And here's the thing, is that I'm planning to use that money to dump into assets like money market accounts that make a good 5%, stocks like diversified index funds in the S&P, NASDAQ, bonds, which are very safe assets, and real estate investment trusts, which return a pretty hefty investment, pretty good profit for me. Right, and my investing strategy is going to be a bit more aggressive because I'm young, whereas if I was old and had a lot of money, I could afford to be more conservative, if that makes sense. Listen, like, once you get around $500,000, once you start putting money from your jobs that you're working at while living with your parents into like compound interest, stocks, bonds, and you start living kind of a minimalist lifestyle once you get out. Once you have $500,000, it becomes easy to make money. That first $500,000 is um, really it's really that first $500,000 where it's hard to make money. And before you know it, you'll just be like the influencers who criticize you. You'll be well off, you'll have a good sum of money, because you didn't have to pay $1,500 or $2,000 early in life, and you were able to pay off a good portion of your debt, and you were able to save up enough money, uh, and do asset allocation, and you were able to become financially successful off of it. So I think it's a great thing that parents are letting their kids stay at home or live at home. Because again, it's a total ripoff to live in like a small apartment or a college dorm, right? You might as well spend some time with your family. You can really build up savings. You can really invest in a lot of different assets and build a lot of income off of that. And yeah, I mean, that's how it is. All right. Thank you. Bye.